Right now, your athlete is probably putting in 10 to 15 hours a week of physical training, technique work, drills, conditioning, weights. How many hours are spent training the one thing that controls all of it? If you're like 80% of the coaches and parents that I talk to, the answer is little to none. I'm Coach Dan. I'm a sports psychologist, exercise physiologist, and neurologist. I've spent my career studying what separates athletes who perform under pressure from athletes who break. And I can tell you right now, the difference is almost never physical. Over the next 6 lessons, I'm going to give you the 5 most powerful mental performance tools on the planet and the exact frameworks that I use with my athletes for free, no catch. Because if even one of these changes how your athlete competes this season, you'll know the full system is worth it. So here's the plan. This lesson is identity. It's the foundation that everything else sits on. Then we'll hit neutral thinking, laser focus, the confidence formula, and mental imagery. Each lesson is under 10 minutes and gives you something that you can use immediately. Let's go. Let me ask you a quick question. This is going to change how you coach or how you parent. Does your athlete believe that they're a clutch performer? Because if they don't, it doesn't matter how many reps that they do, they will find a way to prove themselves right. I had an athlete, let's call him Marcus. He's a wrestler, strong, fast, put in the work. But every time a big match came, he'd lose to kids that he had beaten in practice almost every single time. His coach told me he just doesn't have the killer instinct. So I sat with Marcus and asked him one question. Who are you as a competitor? And he said something that I'll never forget. He said, I'm a hard worker, but I'm not really a winner. And there it was. That sentence was his ceiling. He'd built an identity as someone who works hard, but doesn't win when it counts. And his body was executing that identity perfectly. Every big match, his brain said, you're not a winner, so act accordingly. And he did. We didn't change his technique. We didn't change his conditioning. We changed his identity. And 6 weeks later, he pinned the kid who had beaten him 3 times that season. Okay, same athlete, same skills, but a different identity and a different operating system. Here's why this happened. I teach something called the belief window that you just saw. Think of your mind as having a window. It's like a clear pane of glass right in front of you. It shifts your perspective for everything, and it's how you see the world. On that window are beliefs such as I'm fast, I choke under pressure, I'm the hardest worker on this team, or I'm not as good as so and so. Now, here's the thing about the belief window your brain doesn't care if the beliefs are true, it just executes them. If I'm not a clutch player is on your window, your brain will find evidence to confirm it. It will literally filter out good plays and amplify the bad ones. And here's what most coaches and parents end up missing. You can't change a belief window with a pep talk or with more physical training. You can't just say, believe in yourself and have it actually stick. Belief windows change through evidence and repetition. Small actions stacked over time that create a new identity. That's why we start right here with identity. Okay, that's why we do it before confidence training, before neutral thinking, before focus, before anxiety arousal, management. Every skill that we install on top of that will underperform if it's not rooted in a powerful identity. James Clear, I don't know if you have heard of him. James Clear, the guy who wrote Atomic Habits, one of the best-selling books of the last decade. He nailed this with just one sentence. James said, "Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become." Think about that and think about what it means for your athlete. Every time they show up to practice early, that's a vote, a behavioral vote for I'm the type of athlete who does more than what's required of me. Every time they skip a warm up or some kind of routine or a practice, that's a vote, a behavioral vote for the identity of I'm the type of athlete who cuts corners. Now, here's the powerful part: you don't need a unanimous vote. You don't need to be perfect. You just need the majority of your actions pointing in the right direction. If 7 out of 10 days your athlete shows up with intent, that identity starts to shift. The brain goes, okay, I guess we're this kind of person now. That's how Marcus changed it. It wasn't one big moment, it was dozens of small votes. We changed his self talk in practice. We changed how he walked to the mat. We changed what he said to himself in the mirror before weigh ins. We had 50 small votes. And then his brain updated his belief window and his identity. So here's another quick framework. I call it the therefore what chain. Start with the identity that your athlete wants. This is their big vision. If they want to be a dominant competitor, hey, therefore what? What does a dominant competitor do on Monday morning? They show up 15 minutes early. They film their own reps. They eat to fuel performance. Therefore, what? They don't complain about conditioning. They make eye contact with their opponent during warm-ups. They journal after practice. They do their meditations. The vision branches into small daily behaviors, not one path, multiple paths, but they all stem from this single identity. Now, if you flip it, if your athlete's current identity is I work hard, but I'm not a winner, therefore what? They give 100% in practice, but they hold back in big moments. They avoid clutch situations. They make excuses after losses instead of studying their film and trying to get better. So, here's what I want you to do tonight: the identity writes the script, but the body reads the lines. Sit down with your athlete, or if you're a coach, give this to your whole team and write down one sentence. I am the type of athlete who blank. Not I want to be, not I hope to be. I am. Present tense. Because the belief window, your brain doesn't know the difference between future, like it knows the difference, but the belief window doesn't understand future tense. If you want this to be powerful, it has to be present. It only executes on what is important right now. So I am the type of athlete who dominates in the fourth quarter or the whole game. I am the type of athlete who gets back up and never quits. I'm the type of athlete who controls what I can control, your very neutral mindset. One sentence, write it down, put it on a mirror, on the locker room, as your phone wallpaper. That sentence is your new operating system. Everything we build in the next 5 lessons is on top of that. So, parents, one second. I need to call you out. The words that you use about your kid become their belief window. I'm not saying that to make you feel guilty. I'm saying it because it's one of the most powerful tools that you have. If you say, he's just not a confident kid, and they overhear that, okay? That goes on the window. His brain hears it and files it as a fact. He starts to behave that way. But it works the other way too. When you say, I noticed you kept fighting in that third quarter, even when you were down, that is a vote. That's evidence for a new identity. You don't want to be you don't have to be a sports psychologist, right? You don't want to go and study sports psychology and get all of this. You have your own job, you have your own things. You just have to be intentional about which votes you're casting in favor of your athlete. The rule is super simple. Describe the behavior that you want to see more of, not the outcome. We're going to talk more about task orientation and outcome orientation. Okay, so don't talk about the score, talk about the behavior. Okay, I saw you encourage your teammate after that error. Great job. I noticed you didn't hang your head after that miss. Way to stay neutral. Those observations become their identity faster than any trophy ever will. Now that you have the foundations, okay, so here's the parent power. Now that you've got the foundation, the identity, the belief window, the operating system, the therefore what, let me show you the first skill that we install on top of identity. And fair warning, it's going to challenge something that you've probably been saying to your athlete for years. In this next lesson, I'm going to explain why think positive is just wrong. It's one of the most damaging phrases in all of youth sports. I'll see you in lesson 2.